it's always easier to actually assist other brands, but it's not always easy to actually talk about my own brand. If you ask me like, my expertise and all that, I will take a while to answer your question. But if you ask me my clients, mission and all that, I can really talk like as if, I set up the company and all that.
The Business Lab.
Welcome to yet another episode of the Business Lab podcast. My name is Abu Sofyan, the founder of Seyrul Consulting, and we don't just help you with public speaking or sales, we help you with buy-in speaking. How do you get buy-in when you work with someone? Today I have another special guest. His name is Sulaiman from Epilogue Multimedia. Welcome to the set, Sulaiman.
Hi, nice to meet you.
All right.
Thank you for having me.
So today's episode is sponsored by our venue partners, Craft by 3 and ID Entity, and of course our media magicians, StudioFive Corp. We'd like to thank all of our sponsors to help us create such a beautiful set. So a little bit about Sulaiman, before we begin. So he is a digital marketing professional specializing in website design, branding, and game design at Epilogue Multimedia Private Limited. He's the CEO of Associate Circle Private Limited. He leads impactful educational and corporate training programs in digital literacy. He is an award-winning expert dedicated to enhancing digital experiences and fostering creativity across various digital platforms. So Sulaiman, let's start. Let's kick things off, right? Can you tell us a little bit more about your journey into digital marketing and design?
My career actually started in 2011, right after National Service. But I started off in a media production. I was a producer for Channel News Asia for Suria for a few years. And because as a producer, we get to work with a lot of people from different teams, from the marketing team, the design team, the filming team, and all that. So I was very intrigued by the marketing team especially, because in terms of how they do their work and how they actually promote their programs and all that. So I was inclined towards that aspect, but I actually started as a graphic designer first. So I actually ventured into my own graphic design. I did a lot of freelance job as a graphic designer for ITE, for MHA and all that. And I only started to really get interested in marketing only in 2017 when social media became very, interesting. Like Instagram used to be just a photo album app. But in 2015, it includes a lot of digital marketing aspect and all that, right? So I really got really interested into digital marketing at a later stage. So I started off as a producer, and I did graphic design, a bit of website design, and then moved into digital marketing until today.
Okay, that's very interesting. And what sparked that curiosity and desire to jump into this industry in the first place, digital marketing?
Well, Instagram being one, I think I used Instagram a lot back then and even up to today. So I think Instagram played a lot of role in digital marketing, I mean for me at least. So during that period, 2015-2017, where I really saw a lot of young talents, a lot of influencers started to grow on social media and all that, and got really interested. And then the Smart Local came about and all that, and I really very intrigued with the way they actually promote brands, not just their brands, but for other brands as well. So I thought, okay, probably if I want to really venture out into the industry, graphic design alone, it may not be enough. So, and website design alone may not be enough. So I need to actually have a bit more of expertise to actually diversify myself. So I attended a lot of courses to upgrade myself in digital marketing space and all that. Yeah, so that's how I started doing digital marketing.
Oh, okay, interesting. So what are some of the challenges that you've experienced as you embarked on this journey?
A lot of challenges. Running a business, of course, definitely. That's the first. I had to learn a lot. And I think the challenges was to understand us as a brand first before we help other brands to market other brands. So it's always easier to actually assist other brands, but it's not always easy to actually talk about my own brand. If you ask me like, my expertise and all that, I will take a while to answer your question. But if you ask me my clients, mission and all that, I can really talk like as if, I set up the company and all that. So I think that's the main challenge. to actually build my own brand before I actually help other brands.
So how do you overcome that?
Oh, I talked to a lot of people. I talked to a lot of people in the same industry. I did a lot of networking, even though I'm an introvert. So I try to find ways to actually really talk to people and then get to understand how they work, their perspective, and then understand the challenges. And from there, I learn how to grow and all that. Apart from attending courses and all that, lah.
I see. And as you learned, what were some of the more important lessons you realized that you wish you knew earlier?
Wish I knew earlier.
Yeah.
It was definitely marketing, because I started my company without any marketing team. It was just one person just doing everything at one time. And I think I would go with that. I think in terms of delegating tasks, because I always had the impression that I can do this, I can do that, I can do graphic design, I can do video, I can do photography. Why don't I just do it everything myself?
Right.
Then I realized, I don't have much time. I don't have, because of that, then I don't get to service a lot of clients. So I started to actually spread out and actually get freelancers and then interns and all that. And then so then I realized, it's important to delegate the task. Even though I can do, doesn't mean I have to do it. Then I can focus on running the business and get people to do video edits, to do filming and all that.
What was the process like between the point where you are doing everything and then now you have to hire a team? So what were the steps that you took to transition there? What were some of the things you had to do?
Well, of course, first was, in terms of budget, because when I started a company, it was really from a very low, with a very low budget, and started from home. It's a change of mindset, basically. And a change of environment, because as I've moved out from working from home, then I have a dedicated space. Then the workflow becomes different. So I think that helped a lot.
Okay. So the mindset change. Very important.
Correct.
From what to what?
From just being an individual person to just being able to just delegate tasks and distribute the work.
Right. Okay, cool.
I think first and foremost, we need to understand how the interior design industry works here in Singapore. So majority of the IDs or the people who work within the interior design companies, most of them are actually freelancers. They are not employed based on a full-time basis. So they work on a commission basis. So, and some business models or some ID companies want to have a lot of ID so that they can close a lot of projects on. My personal tip here is start with visiting the IDs that you have shortlisted or you're interested in. Look at their place of work, look at how they work, look at their office. Once you have done that, I think what you should also do here is to ensure that these IDs that you potentially want to engage are HDB licensed. Last but definitely not least, and to me the most important, because I think nobody do this. Okay. Once you have confirmed, or let's say for example, you really want to sign with this ID company, right? Go to Accra website and pull out the company's profile. Firstly, you know who are the directors, you know where is their office, you know when they were incorporated. Most importantly, you know how much they actually put in as the initial investment or the capital. So in the context of my industry, right, the ID industry, right, I always advise my clients, don't look for cheap, look for value. Okay? Because cheap don't guarantee you that you're going to get what you want. Okay? Because in order to be cheap, there are corners that I need to cut. But instead look for value. And when I talk about value here, it's not just what I use to build your home, how I communicate with you, how prompt am I? How am I? How I can advise you? These are all the value I add. So like for us, because I maintain a very small team, right? So we only manage between 2 or 3 projects a month. We don't do a lot of projects. So this way, my people are better at managing that project. We are at site more frequent. We are constantly there to check if there are mistakes being made, and our communication with the owners are more frequent, more kira macam more in depth lah. We're able to correct.
So I think in the space of like design and digital marketing, there's a whole debate on form versus function.
Yeah.
Right? Is this functional or we're going for something more aesthetic?
Yes.
Right. So what's your take on that? Which one is more important, functionality or form or aesthetics?
Oh, that's a very good question. Functionality or aesthetics, right? Okay, I mean, in the area that I work in terms of social media and website, or even in game development, both are actually very important. It's just a matter of which one is more important for that particular project. For example, for a website,
right,
functionality is definitely way more important because at the end of the day, it serves to actually convert customers, right, from this exploring the products and then to purchasing and all that. So in terms of aesthetic, it's important, but not as important as functionality, because if you have a lot of animations, I remember I had this client who wanted to have an e-commerce system where they have products flying in and all that, and then to showcase their products, and then in the midst of doing it, I realized, okay, wait a minute, I don't think this is practical because it will affect loading time. Because animations and all that will take a lot of time. And, people like us nowadays, right? If we go to a website, if it takes 5 seconds to load, to us it's like extremely slow now.
You're going out.
Yeah. So if we have animations and all that, yes, it looks visually interesting, but it may not be very functional. So it depends on the project. Game, on the other hand, definitely has to have the aesthetic appeal.
Yes.
But that is, to me, way more important than functionality, because at the end of the day, when we talk about games,
right,
people prefer to play no-brainer games, right? So in terms of the functionality, it's really there, but it's just a matter of the aesthetics. So I guess it depends on projects.
So the answer is it depends.
It depends,
right?
yeah.
It depends on what project, and is it for gaming or is it more for websites?
Correct.
Okay. So I'm also very curious. Let's stay in the website lane at this point in time. So when it comes to websites, what are the common mistakes business owners make?
Sure.
Could you share a little bit about this?
Sure. Okay. I think the first mistake is not wanting to have a website in the first place. They'll be like, now I have social media, why do I need a website? Right? If they can find me on social media, if I create videos and all that, why would I want to spend money on a website? That's the first thing. Yeah.
Yes.
But having a website is really important because it's like a hub where it contains all your product and services, and you can use it as a marketing tool. That's the first. And then second, I think it would be websites sometimes can be very cluttered. You can have chunk of text, and then when you read, you don't even know what they're talking about,
right.
or or buttons are everywhere. Consistency is not there as well. The other thing is also perhaps maybe not optimized for mobile, and this is very important because nowadays we access websites through mobile phones and all that, and iPads and all that. So if websites are not optimized for the different format, different dimensions, right, then it becomes very problematic. So I think that's also another one. And also one more in terms of branding. When we visit a website, it doesn't really reflect the brand, not just in terms of the colors, but in terms of the font use, in terms of the tone of voice, the language, the images and all that, or sometimes can be low-res images and all that. So these are some of the the challenges that we actually see usually on clients' websites.
So I'm curious, Sulaiman, walk me through the process of you guiding a client that wants to build a website.
So firstly, we will actually always have a consultation, a sit-down consultation, and this because to me, I really need to understand the brand. Back then, when I first started out as a website designer, I always put brands first on the website. But as I grow, as I learn about digital marketing, now I'm able to put users first instead of the brand. Because when we visit the website, it's actually for the user, not so much for the brand, right? So the consultation is important because then I'm able to understand the products and services that they're actually offering, what are their unique selling point, and who are their target audience, and this is very important. and a lot of clients, unfortunately, don't really know the target audience. They know who they want, who usually buys their products or services, but they don't really streamline to their demographics, their age, their location, their interests, behaviors, and all that. And this is something that we really sit down very closely with them to really understand their target audience. By understanding that first, then we can actually just build the website based on users first, not brands first.
That's a good distinction. I think rarely talked about, because who are you building it for? Is it for the user or is it for the business image? So why do you say that focusing on the user is more important than for the branding?
Sure, because when we buy stuff, we don't just buy because we need them, but because of impulse, because of the storytelling, because of whatever reasons, right? And as businesses, we are here to solve people's problems, whatever their problems would be.
Yeah.
To have get a new shoes, to be able to speak properly, better, or perhaps to build a status.
Right.
Yeah, we are actually building that gap. So they come to our website with a problem at hand, right? And if their website is able to actually focus on my needs, I will be more intrigued. I will spend more time on your website, right? Because if I were to spend a website where I just talk about the brand, talk about the product, talk about the story that I cannot relate to, then you will lose your customer.
Yeah. I got a very recently I saw there's so many AI website designers and softwares out there, right? So what's your take on this advent of so many new AI features and softwares that coming into the market, especially for website design and website building?
I guess it's something that is really interesting. I mean, AI is something that we cannot run away from, whether we like it or not. It's just going to be here and it's going to get better. We are just at the stage where it's just developing. So we are at a very lost stage where what's happening, what's there and all that. There are some AI features that are definitely very useful, like AI chatbox, for example. It actually really helps to streamline customer queries and all that. And I heard that AI in a future website is going to be different from each users. For example, if you go online, you see advertisements that you see and the advertisements that I see are different. It's customized advertisements, right, based on your digital behavior, right? Whatever you search for and whatever ads that's being served to you are different from the advertisement that's being served to me. And website is going to be like that as well. So even though we are actually viewing the same website, but AI will actually have to replace the text and the graphics to cater to my needs. It's also very interesting. It's still developing. I'm still learning on that. But I think this is something that we cannot run away from. But this is something that we can actually really learn.
So I'm also very curious because a lot of people make websites, but not many people visit them.
Yeah.
Right. So there's low visibility when someone creates a website. What's the advice you would give to people who have already created, but then nobody visits the website? Like,
sure. Yeah. I think that's one of the reasons why they always think that, why do I need a website in the first place, right? Yeah. Because when you build a website, it's not going to work for you. Yeah, you have to always find ways to actually how you create marketing campaigns, throughout your various online touch points, social media, website, mobile apps, and all that, right? So think about how we can create landing page, promote your website in more compelling methods and ways.
Okay, cool. So how do you stay updated with the latest trends and technology in digital design and marketing? Very curious.
For me,
Yeah, for you.
I always listen to the news. I even listen to CNA in my car. I know people will be like, you listen to CNA? Like, yeah. I always stay myself updated. Even though, local or international news, they are always very important. It's something that we can always learn from, especially trends and things that are happening, like multi-disruption. How can you create a digital marketing campaign out of that?
Right.
And a lot of viral thing going on, right?
Yes.
So keep up with the news is very important. News not just in terms of traditional media like news on CNA, but on social media and all that. Read a lot as well. Always be open to new things. I think every time when I talk about AI nowadays, people will be like, oh no, I don't want to hear about AI, So you need to always have an open mindset. Regardless of the industry you're in,
Right.
AI is definitely going to come and overtake. So
Right.
it's just whether you are able to let it replace you or you ride along with it. It's just, it depends on you. Yeah. And the other thing is talk to people. Basically. Yeah, I know I'm the last person to give this advice because, I always struggle to actually talk to people, but now I'm getting better.
I see.
So I think talk to people in different industries, like SMCCI has a lot of networking events and all that. So I talk to people from different industry or the same industry, and then I ask about their experiences and all that. So learn from others. I think that's the easiest way.
Yeah. So Sulaiman, how many people currently do you have in your company, your Epilogue?
5 of us.
5, okay.
Yeah.
So how do you foster creativity in the team? Now, I'm very curious because when you lead a team, you have a vision where you want it to go,
Yeah.
but that same vision might not necessarily translate to what your team can do or believe in. So how do you have that transference of conviction and vision?
So in our meetings usually, it's more of a collaborative meeting where we have different people from different departments and all that, especially for associate circle. We have different departments, multimedia, visual arts, robotics and STEM. So we will always discuss ways of how to collaborate with each other, different teams. So we don't work in silos. We always try to make sure that we are on the same page at every time, and more of sharing ideas. Our meetings are usually fast, but at the same time, it's more of discussions rather than, okay, you do this, you do that. Yeah. So, and I always, in my meetings, I will always ask for their opinions.
Okay.
It's not just in terms of what I want. I can actually set guidelines, but at the end of the day, I will always ask, how would you do it? If this is your brand, how would you market it? Right? Then we discuss and then we improvise. Yeah. So I think that's the way forward.
It sounds like you promote a culture of collaboration and safety.
Yes, I try to.
You try to, okay. Or why do you think that's so important?
So important because I think, because I've met with a lot of clients, work with different teams, even in my previous jobs and all that. There's so many deep companies that are working in silos, like I say, right? They are not in sync with the different departments, and communication get lost halfway. There are new ideas coming in from a different department, but this department is not even aware of whatever they're supposed to do and everything, and then a lot of chaotic happens. So I think collaboration is definitely the way to go.
I see. Okay. So we spoke about collaboration. On the other side, there could be a debate where besides collaboration, there's also competition, right? So how do you feel the company stays competitive in the landscape?
To stay updated ourselves, definitely that's
Right.
one. Not just in terms of my expertise, but in terms of my teams as well. So I always ensure that they always attend courses. They always go out for make use of the skills future and all that and upgrade themselves.
Okay.
In whatever areas that they can.
Yeah.
So that's definitely one of it, lah.
Okay, so let's segue a transition a little bit into the game design aspect that you mentioned as well. Could you tell us a little bit more about what aspect of game design is your company working on?
Sure. So we develop games for online games, most of them. The recent one we just did, in fact, it's going to be launching soon. I'm very
Ooh,
excited.
okay.
It's a game project with Ratiana and Mini Monsters for the National Heritage Board
Okay.
to promote batik and kebaya.
Interesting.
Yeah, so it's an online game for 5 to 7 year old. It's a 9-level game where they get to choose their characters, and the characters will move from Malay Heritage Centre to, you see a mosque there, you see a few landmarks.
Right.
They get to play games to learn more about Singapore icons like Teh Tarik, Murtabak, when they can play games like they have to actually grill their own satay. They have to prepare beef mutabak, sardine mutabak, where they click on the ingredients
Okay.
and all that. So this is a game for 5 to 7 year old.
Interesting.
Educational games. But we also actually do gamified AR. So I'm sure you dabbled with AR before on Instagram, where you have things appearing on your forehead, and then you turn your head right and left to answer some questions. So gamified AR filters that we create as well.
Oh, that's really cool. Where do you see the trends going in terms of website design and also game design?
It's definitely the future. Even though, I mean, the website, people always say, oh, website is dying, but actually it's really not. It's just a matter of how you actually make use of your website. And what we like to do is always to infuse game into websites. Like what we are doing with Sun Plaza, we actually have online games where shoppers spend certain amount of money, and then they can go to the Sun Plaza's website to play some games like spin the wheel or whatever, or like press here and then a kind of game to win vouchers and all that. So we always try to think of different ways to engage our clients.
Our clients.
Yeah.
That's really interesting because at the end of the day, your client is doing it because they want to serve someone else as well. So it's another level of interaction and engagement
absolutely,
and a thought being put into it. Thank you so much for the conversation. Thank you so much, guys, for tuning in. I'd like to thank our sponsors again, Craft by 3 and ID Entity, for the beautiful venue and set. And of course, our media magicians, StudioFive Corp, for the production and the editing, making us all look really, really cool. If you're seeing this on LinkedIn or Instagram or Twitter or wherever you find your podcast, please share, like, comment. There might be a description box asking you how we can improve the episodes. We'll love if you can give your thoughts. And with that, thank you so much. We'll check you for the next episode. Take care. Bye-bye.